The next session will be with the defense attaches from various countries will be online to meet you.
So the very important session of this show, Indian defense attaches from 7-8 countries are joining us through the virtual mode. They are here to help the MSMEs getting export order. They will guide us what are all the procedures, what are all the opportunities and other things. You can also interact with them to know what is the capability available this side. So they will be probably...
The final call to the audience who would like to explore opportunities in defense exports. The defense attaches have joined. Please join us as the audience in the seminar hall to explore export opportunities in the defense.
So, thank you, defense attaches from the various countries. Quickly introduce yourself before talking. And thanks to the Ministry of Defense, Department of Defense Production, when I approached them requesting their support in bringing the defense attaches, they readily agreed. The idea is to provide the necessary information to the participant MSMEs, the opportunities on the other side, and also to showcase your capabilities. Make use of the opportunity. I am sure they will be guiding us and enlightening us on how we can contact them, how we can know the various opportunities there. Probably they must be sending some bulletins kind of thing, I don't know. But definitely we have to go through proper channel. All that channel they will be briefing. Over to the defense attaches, sir. Whoever is talking, please introduce the country and your name and then you can go ahead. From our side, Commodore Vasanji is here. Sir. Commodore Vasanji, retired Indian Navy and part of the Swatantra Foundation Advisory Board, will be moderating the show wherever required. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ram. I think this is one of the most important sessions that we are going to have today. And I'm thankful to the 7 defense attaches who are here. And I'm sure there will be a lot of questions because there's been a phenomenal amount of momentum in the last 7-8 years. In terms of the Atmanirbharata, which is self-reliance, and the kind of momentum that's been gained, particularly with the global scenario changing, is something that is advantageous to us in terms of making our alliances. A lot of countries have shown interest in the defense production here, for collaborating with us, sharing of technology. And looking at obviously it's also driven by a certain amount of market considerations. It's understood that India is also a huge market. There's also a phenomenal amount of talent, as was also brought out in the previous session. The fact that we successfully landed in an area where no one has landed has also brought to the fore the technological prowess of this country. And with the demography that's favoring us, a lot more players are looking at India as a destination. Not just as a market, but also to try and find optimal solutions in terms of what the globe needs. Not just purely in defense terms, but also in terms of humanitarian assistance, disaster relief, autonomous vehicles which can help us out during flood relief and various other combats. So with these brief remarks, I'll request the defense attaches to come forward and give a very brief presentation on how they are looking at India as a market, but also as the possibilities that there are for us to work together. And more importantly, the people here who are looking at this are trying to see how they can leverage their potential and work together. So there are these critical deficiencies in terms of understanding this. The previous speaker, Mr. Bob, clearly brought out to say that when it comes to even their presentations, they're clear that there people out there, because there are technology regimes and there are dual use technologies which are of a matter of concern to many industries and to states. And you've seen that America has also imposed a phenomenal number of restrictions now on the kind of technology that can be sold to China. So this tech warfare will continue. So in the light of all this, may I request each one of the defense attaches to kindly come forward, make their presentation for 5 to 6 minutes each, and thereafter I'm sure there will be a phenomenal number of questions which we will take on so that it paves the way for us to move forward. With that, thank you and over to you. Kindly introduce yourself. I do not have the access to all your bio. please do introduce yourself and tell us how do we move forward from here. Thank you. Please take over.
Okay, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Smithfai, go ahead, please.
Sir, I am Kamal Garewan. I'm the defense attaché. I'm based at Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I also look after Kuwait. So, to start with, sir, thank you to the Swathantra Foundation for giving this opportunity to the defense attachés to interact with the defense industry. I will come straight to the aspects that you all are looking for. The Saudi Arabia, the armed forces, the MOD, they don't need and kind of big introduction. There remains just importance of defense equipment. It has been the top among the top three for past so many years. But what used to happen in the past and what is in the present now, there is a change. Since 2018-19, there has been a subtle attempt by the Saudi MOD to regulate the defense market. You see, before that, all the product overall in US, approximately 70 to 75% all the imports used to happen from there, followed by the UK, some from France. But in the past 3 to 4 years, there have been a noticeable shift with the kingdom trying to diversify not only its defense but its other requirements. So that is how the Indian companies they market come to this market and with the change in procedures. Is there a huge market? Is there a huge opportunity? Yes, it is. Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, it is not only the biggest player in the region, but whatever it does, many other countries follow suit. So if there is an opening for an Indian company, it automatically provides gold not only in the Gulf but in the North Africa and the Mediterranean region. So what has really changed over the years? They have tried to put a system in place. We have got certain regulators that have come in. Earlier, the defense teams, we never used to hear anything about it. What is the procedure? What is the demand coming up? And the tenders coming out? Or there is the RFP. But now this is more or less getting streamlined, I think, what we have at home. So we have got regulators, we have the General Authority for Military, we have got SAMI, and we have other regulators. And a very, very, systematic, it is still in a transformative stage, but I would say it is getting a more and more level free level of now. So from the best who have come in, now we have the Spanish, they had a big, the Corvette project, and it's ongoing. Turkish, we have the Koreans, we have the Chinese, and now coming to our own Indian companies. These started immediately in 2019, I would say that some of our PSAs, they did make a visit to the kingdom, and then during COVID, there was a period of lull, nothing much happened. But since 2021-22, we really picked up pace. The World Defense Show in 2022, it was the first World Defense Show that was held in Riyadh. One of the biggest in the region, and there were deals close to $8 to $9 billion that was signed on the sidelines of the World Defense Show. Sadly, Indian companies did not participate in much numbers because of the clashing defense show, our own expo that was being held, which eventually got postponed. And we did miss out on a lot of opportunities because of that. But notwithstanding that, we went ahead and we carried out the first ever India-Saudi Arabia defense industry seminar last year. There are a lot of companies we have introduced. So as we speak now, I can take what is the mode of entry to the kingdom. You have to have a local partner. You have to track now the defense industries who are there, who are interest in the kingdom. As many of our, the companies, they don't have an office here, either they have somebody who can, do the groundwork. So as on date, there are close to 6 to 7 companies, the leading names, they have already formed ties. This year, we already bid and successfully we got 2 to 3 tenders, smaller ammunition, some protective armor and other things. 5 level top presentation to the hierarchy in MOD. And another one, again, among the top 5 ASUs in India, coming next week to demonstrate their product. So, a lot of things are happening. We are facilitating the tie-ups of our companies with the local Saudi companies, providing them all the information, interacting with the SAMI and the GAM, the regulators and the drivers of the defense industry here. And they are, there is a very, very positive kind of response that we see from the stakeholders in Saudi Arabia, primarily because whenever we give a briefing of our company or they come down and they brief, they say we never knew that this technology existed. So there was a big gap. So slowly and slowly, so that mindset is changing. Indian companies are finding a foothold, and there is a World Defense Show in February 2024. We have sent an invite to close to 45 Indian companies. Sadly, we are not putting up an Indian pavilion because of again those fashion requirements of our Defense Expo coming during the same time. But notwithstanding that, we have told most of the companies that 20-25 companies are already, they have confirmed their participation. So this is a good opportunity. If there is a market, the market here is huge. You have to enter once and then you can see the effect. All those who have entered, who have signed the deal, who are already fulfilling the contracts, they are seeing the pay rates because it's a new market and there is a lot of scope for improvements in Saudi Arabia and this region in particular. So that's a brief. The market overview, very positive outlook, the very favorable kind of response from the Saudi side. So we look for a greater participation from the Indian defense industry. But again, like I said, it's not, it's just the procedures are a little different. You have to deal with certain kind of delays. Sometimes the responses are slow. But in the end, they are moving towards a very, very systematic kind of approach. We are really hopeful. This year has been a very, very positive one for our defense industry. And like this year, we can only see positive growth from here. So I would not like to dwell much on going to the kind of things if after there are many specifics, I will be ready to take more questions.
Thank you very much, Colonel. I think it's an overview of what is happening in Saudi Arabia. All of you are aware that Saudi Arabia also has become a strategic partner of India, and therefore it opens up many avenues. Important points which are made out is very obvious, which is that you must have a local partner, but also be very clear about the procedures which are there. I have no doubts in my mind that our DAs abroad, wherever they are, will facilitate the process of these, B2B meetings, and also to give you kind of a first-hand input on, which are the sectors in which there is a need for Indian technocrats and PSUs and others to participate. So we will share the details of all the DAs with the people here, with their permission, of course, so that you can, through the Swaraj Foundation, set up a meeting with them, virtual meetings, so that you get more inputs on this and ensure that, you make headway into these emerging markets in the Middle East, in Saudi Arabia and other places. Thank you, Colonel, very much for this. And I'll request the next DA to kindly take over and provide a similar briefing for the participants here. Thank you.
Good morning. This is Komodo Anjan Batra. I'm with DA in USA. Look after Canada as well. So, Colonel Reva, that was a good introduction and a good beginning for opportunity in Saudi Arabia. Now, US is completely a different ballgame altogether. There are a fair amount of industries who are already involved in business in the defense sector here. However, I would like to go back a little bit to Indian history where certain joint collaborations with major companies are already in place. For example, Tata Lockheed Martin, Tata Boeing, and now from Spain we also have the Airbus collaborating there to make component level stuff for let's say the aerospace sector. So here the export opportunity in USA would be in the component or that kind of area or domain rather than a whole product altogether. Towards this, the government of India has also set up or made BEL, Bharat find, midway into the US markets at the component level for finally producing larger products. So there is a representative of Dell based in New York who can assist anybody who's trying to find partners here or sell their products or collaborate with US to manufacture. So his role would be the person who's been appointed for this, Mr. Amit Malik. He basically liaises and coordinates with US through which basically offset orders contributing to exports which were being executed by Indian firms. That is one of the major opportunities here. These are for products which the Indian defense services have imported from USA. And then this office also works as a referral for Indian companies who would like to do business in the United States. And they can assist with making events and ways to say. That is, they were pointed what if we want to do this in any country, so like to be able to open an end of course helps in liaising with company because that would be a man on the ground and that would be a window on the side into the opportunities that are present. So with that background, I would also like to briefly mention the areas in which already there is business happening. Like I mentioned, component level and parts supplies. In the aerospace manufacturing sector, I have already mentioned some collaborations which are joint ventures which are already in place. Then cybersecurity solutions is another domain. Simulator and training equipment is another domain. Unmanned systems, of course, components of those. Then niche technology areas where our MSMEs can contribute, or the industry, defense industry in India can contribute, such as advanced materials, propulsion systems, communication solutions. These are some areas where people can foray into. Then the research and development sector is also developing. People who are investing in R&D in India. There are companies or agencies in USA who are seeking talent or innovative solutions to a lot of defense applications. Then MRO, or maintenance, repair and overhaul. This is another sector which is coming up. So Boeing in the aviation sector has already proposed plans to set up major MROs, major repair and overhaul centers in India for the commercial sector as well, not only the defense. And then supply chain is a big issue. The resilience in supply chain is something which the US market is also looking at. To give you an example, this war in Ukraine, that has brought about a huge shortage of ammunition, artillery ammunition, small arms ammunition. So we have also been approached by a large number of companies which are seeking these kind of material, that means ammunition. But then there are challenges towards that because foreign policy would dictate engaging in those areas. And then defense electronics sector, I think we have a lot of expertise there. And with the advance in technology, defense electronics is a major area where all equipment requires this kind of support. Then medical equipment for defense applications. This is another area which is coming up. And I think again there we have a lot of opportunities. And so our industry will participate towards that also. However, there are a lot of challenges as far as the US is concerned in terms of regulatory issues. Firstly, there is it's called the DFARS, Defense Federal Regulation Act, which clears only about 26 countries to export equipment or material or component level items for the defense sector in the United States. So, and then seek RDP, that is Reciprocal Defense Procurement Agreement, which means if we sell or export to the United States, they will look for an opportunity to sell their products as well. But with the Make in India and Atmanirbhar concept of our government, that component is a challenge to get into an agreement with. Of course, recently in June, Honorable Prime Minister Modi visited the United States, and there were a lot of breakthroughs, in various sectors. For example, the aero engine sector, the GE, General Electric aero engine, that is a huge project which is in a very, very advanced state. This is for the GE F414 engine, which would be prospectively for the Tejas Mark II and the AMCA later, the advanced medium combat aircraft. So GE is now in a very advanced stage of setting up a manufacturing facility in India for that, for which US congressional approvals have been granted. And this will provide a huge opportunity in that sector for our industries to contribute and get into the manufacturing process. Then there are other proposals on the table. For example, the Striker combat vehicles for the army. That is another proposal. And then the long-range M207 howitzer. These co-productions have been proposed. And again, then there are advanced stages of deliberations between the two sides. And towards these, there will be a lot of opportunities for automobile manufacturers to participate in the final production. And of course, another big item is the MQ-90, the drone or the UAV, which again, the three services are in the process of procurement. And the model would be by Global Make in India. Subsequently, if at all, after the Indian Armed Forces have been supplied with, if that project goes through. So that would realize a lot of opportunities for global exports from India. So these are some of the sectors where there are a lot of opportunities. And like I said, the main requirement would be for to get foot on the ground. That means here in the US, to be able to coordinate and collaborate. And then the market study, we through the defense wing, with the help of our commerce wing here at the embassy, approached SIDM, the Society of Indian Defense Manufacturers, under the aegis of CII, and we were able to get a market survey done earlier this year. Now that report is available, which highlights a lot of companies which are seeking partners for manufacturing component items. So that is something which we can share on an as required basis. So all in all, I probably try to bring out the opportunities that exist as well as the challenges that are there in the US defense sector. And if there would be any specific questions here on, then I'll be happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I think that's again a very wonderful presentation on the opportunities that await. I think we also need to relate it with what was presented yesterday here. I know in the opening sessions, where they said something like 40% of software on the Boeing 787 goes from here, HCL. I know that was what was brought out by TIDCO. So there are many opportunities already both in the commercial and the military field. And this morning you heard to say that the Predators have been cleared, and there are chances of this being established in India. So there are many opportunities here which abound. The GE414 which you mentioned is again another game changer for the Indian aviation industry in terms of LCA Mark II. And that again opens up parallel avenues for MSMEs who are already well entrenched in supplying items to HAL for the present configurations of LCA. So both in the airframes and aero engines. So I'm sure there will be many questions from the audience, but we'll take all the questions together with your permission. And I'll request the next DA to kindly give us an overview of the opportunities and challenges in their areas where they are located. Thank you.
Good morning, gentlemen. I am Captain Akhilesh Menon. I am the Indian DA based in Canada, Australia, and I look after the ocean as well. Can you hear me?
Yeah, please go ahead. Stand fine.
We can hear you. Please go ahead. We can hear you. Strength 5.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, coming to Australia, it is very important to know what is the domestic landscape in Australia is all about as far as the defense industry is concerned. Now, Australia is got a peak position in this. It is neither a recipient country like we have Indonesian, other Indonesian neighbor countries, nor it is a fully capable export-oriented defense industry like the US or France or any other European country. Australia is very unique in the sense that the defense industry has got some niche technology, but at the same time, it does not have that kind of large production or industry to support it. The Australian industry still relies a lot of their hardware from Western countries, especially the United States, France, and Spain. We localize them in three of these countries. Having said that, Australia came out with a very important document earlier this year in April 2023 called the Defense Strategy Review. And it's available online, and I would recommend that anybody who's interested in doing business in Australia go to that. You can easily Google it, it's unclassified. Unclassified version is there in the Australian Defense website. Please go to that before understanding or getting into the nuts and bolts of how to do business in Australia. Now, later this year, there will be a specific naval strategy review, which also will be tabled by end of September and probably will be classified by next month. The given course structure and the strategy would be articulated, and so that will also contain the prospects of shipbuilding and any other maritime requirements of the country. Now, coming to the defense industry and defense landscape here, as I already told you, Australia has got lots of these European and American consortiums already with their Australian subsidiary. For example, the Boeing, the Lockheed Martin, Navantia, all of them have got their officers, and they are doing big business. And South Koreans are also coming in with they got lots of contracts on infantry vehicles and other equipment. So when we are going to do business in Australia, it's as Commodore Badras and before that Colonel Rewal, they talked about we need to set up a local office or a shop here. If any country, if any company is interested in doing business, we can't just go for some tenders, online or sitting in Australia, sitting in India without having any base here. So we need to get, if you need to do business in Australia, we need to be seen here. The visibility is very important, and also every year or every alternate year there are these Maritime Defense Expo, which is called the CPOW Conference or Naval Pacific Expo. You got the Land Forces Expo and Air Show or the Avalon, which happens. These are biannual events. So every alternate year, either you have the Maritime Expo or the Land Forces Expo or the Air Expo. So companies that are interested in doing business here, it is very, very important that you be part of that such expos. And all these information are available in October shows. They have got their own websites. So please look up. In fact, the Maritime Expo or the Europe Expo 2023 is scheduled in November this year. Lots of companies in the maritime domain are putting up stalls and showcasing their products and trying to rise in business in the Australian industry doing that. Now, again, Australia is very difficult to get into Australian market with the finished product. let's say a large aircraft or a similar in the land only, it will be very difficult. Yes, especially. From the Australian industry, being part of the supply chain, being part of the components, export components. For example, Bharat Forge and Thales Australia has got going on sequential going in small arms. Tata Advanced System is also doing something similar. So, if the industry needs to get into the Australian market, we need to get into some kind of a, something similar to what we have in India, Make in India or the Atmanirbhar or Bharat. Sometimes here they also and promoting Australian industry. So, selling a finished product is the challenge. There are Australian tenders are quite transparent. It's available on the website Australian tenders or tender.au. And it is in shipbuilding and MRO, small arms, simulators, research and development. There is a lot of scope, but there is a methodology in doing business. I'll keep it short. I'm ready to take any questions if at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Naik. Again, that's another thing from the country down under. There are a lot of possibilities that are coming up. And a lot of these also happen in the backdrop of geostrategy. As you know, Australia is also a Quad partner. That's India, Australia, US, and Japan. We are Quad partners. And that again opens up many avenues. The Indo-Pacific Economic Forum and the Indo-Pacific Ocean Initiatives are, such platforms on which these four countries are trying to work together, synergize and also optimize on the supply chain, which was brought out by, both the DAs here. So there is a conscious effort to move away from China, and which is what has led rise to the Resilient Supply Chain Initiative. And therefore, these are again, areas in which, you will have to do. I think both the DAs, both from Saudi Arabia as well as from Australia, have clearly brought out that there is a need for a local presence. So if you can't definitely set up an office there if it is cost prohibitive, at least you should be able to identify a local partner, who can represent your interests, who can, leverage your capabilities and be the spokesperson who can participate in various conferences that DA Australia brought out, so that, you know what is happening there and the areas in which you can invest. So these are the intelligent ways of interacting with this. So thank you, Captain Naik, for this input. I'm sure there will be many more questions. So with that, I'll request the next DA to kindly take over and make his presentation. Thank you. Yeah, please go ahead. We can hear you, strength 5.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Captain Ajit, based in Tokyo. So, as all other DAs this again of this country for next weeks, you may be aware that it is a country which still has a pacifist sort of constitution, and predominantly because of that, the defense business is very difficult as of now. The joint few things that gathered over my trip in Japan, I would like to share with you. So, to start with, India and Japan signed the Defense Equipment and Technology Operation in 2015. And then there have been regular interactions between at MOD level. Is the Ministry of Defense of the country. So it is incidentally also headed by DDP from our side. However, despite having started in 2015 till now, there have been no transfer of equipment from either side, or no significant venture succeeded. There are ongoing procedures and projects which are going on. However, nothing has yielded result as of yet. This I attribute to various factors which I will just highlight. The first thing is the high-tech base in Japan means that there is not much that the Indian conventional manufacturers do in Japan. And on vice versa, because we have a decent urbanization and industrial base country, and also a well set up partnerships with other countries from where we procure our equipment. Japan also doesn't see much market in the conventional military. The second factor is the bureaucratic structure. To be frank, Japan, the bureaucratic structure in the MOD is extremely difficult because it originates from its fascist mindset, which didn't want it to trade or deal in matters of defense. Only partner that Japan has, so to say, is the US, where it's more a very firm setup where they can deal freely with each other, whereas in other countries it is very difficult, and I don't think there are any agreement government to government. Though Japanese military have a few equipments which are of European origin. Another thing that we from the Indian defense industry may find difficult is to recognize that is not very transparent in the sense it is not global RFIs. You have to register with the Japanese MOD, and that essentially is the luxury as of now is available only to the Japanese companies or so the US companies. Few of the US companies were registered to the foreign affairs sort of arrangement. And therefore our company is effectively not able to bid for RFIs, but only able to get in as a government to government agreement. Therefore, it's where I feel that the defense industry could not enter the Japanese market. There is an interesting development which happened in December of 2022, where three strategic documents were released, namely the National Security Strategy, National Defense Strategy, and Military Build-up Plan, which says that Japan would go our way. Like we have our plan, they will start making indigenous products and develop it within the next 10 years. Second, they would be open to trade with other countries, which stage they mentioned that they are interested in export there. Import is not as much mentioned. However, there is a real possibility of collaboration, that is joint venture. So this, so I see in the MOD opening up their policies, which they have they have just announced official security assistance to countries. So that means they will be exporting certain equipment like they had the ODA, which India also benefits from. So similar things are coming up, and I'm sure the defense industry would open. So the picture is not all that good till now. Good in the there is a ray of hope. Over the period, I've attended a lot of this. I believe our Indian industry is very mature and gives a low-cost solution to many of such problems. So it is in this niche technologies like drones that we can actually start registering ourselves in Japan. Now, classically getting into the MOD contract is still difficult. However, there is a scope of these being used for civilian activity like HADR, firefighting, and so when I get in, okay, okay, in and with the so that is we hope that and again I realize many others about for this need to engage with the training parts, the local partner to start and to show what is our part. We in the Indian mission in Japan are also trying to have some expos or seminars organized in Japan where our drone manufacturers and innovative products that we have sold to the Indian armed forces being showcased in Japan to get entry and entry to the Japanese market. This, I'm sure, Japan believes in quality. Once they see our products being delivered to our armed forces and we will gradually build upon the industry. The capability that Japan has can be augmented highly. Another last point that I want to again highlight is Japan has got a good industrial base, extremely good industrial base. So a lot of this innovation that happening in India, a lot of this space for drones, the carbon fiber, etc. There is the best of those things are made in Japan. So there is a scope of having Japan to be some vendor for such equipment and to get it to India. And thereafter we produce the equipment which is cost effective. And there is a collaboration. So these are the comments that I had. So I would have a topic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain. As you would have noticed, after Saudi Arabia, all the three DAs who made presentation are from the Quad partners. So, including Japan. So the very valid points about one is, of course, the geographical distance that separates us, but the kind of pacifist constitution that they have, only they're trying to get out of that. Only then can we see some more in terms of industry exchanges. But what is also noticeable is that, as I mentioned earlier, on the efforts of the nations to invest in the resilient supply chain. Remember that after the standoff with China, something like 26 companies moved out of China and were relocated. Out of this, 23 or 24 went to Vietnam, and only 2 or 3 came to India. So this itself is a case study. It has been carried out. A study has been carried out even by us in the Chennai Center for China Studies, and the study is available. So it's important to know why Vietnam was chosen over India. So obviously there are certain issues which the industry has to introspect and look at and see why we could not join. I'm not only looking at defense, but also other industries which can feed into the defense ecosystem. So that I think is an important point that has to be borne in mind. But like I said, I'm sure there'll be many more questions from here on what kind of interfaces we need to look at before we start looking at Japan as a potential partner for defense production. With that, may I request the next DA to kindly take over?
Morning, gentlemen. I'm Lieutenant Hansel Tikar. I'm the DA in Israel. I'll be covering the Israel opportunities that you have. Israel has a thriving defense, aerospace, and robotic industry, and it is known for its innovative technology and expertise. It makes it look like an attractive market. However, there are a few things that we need to keep in mind before trying to invest over here. First is that Israel is fairly self-reliant, and it works towards keeping it that way. Almost all its defense products and its supply lines are indigenous. You name it: tanks, missiles, vehicles, radars, everything. And this comes from its need to be self-reliant because of its security concerns. This means that outside players have very limited chance of forming a part of their major products, and it is only at the component level that there is some leeway. A few areas they see outside players are big item, big ticket items are, to name them F-16, F-35, C-130, Apache helicopters, the Dolphin class surveillance. You will notice that all of them are from established players with worldwide acceptance, and most of them preferably US. So because of this, from India, as of now, there is very limited chance to fit into this scheme of things. What Israel does though in certain cases is that it takes niche technologies from outside. So to give an example, while Israel produces world-class surveillance systems, many of its cameras are still outsourced, some from, let's say, Germany or few other countries like that. So if you're a company with a niche technology, then you stand a chance of becoming part of the business chain out here in Israel. Israel uses COTS equipment majorly for all its systems. But again, it uses established high quality equipment and equipment that doesn't have impact on its security. So if you fall into that category, then again, you stand a chance of becoming part of the business chain out. One aspect that requires to be highlighted in terms for Israel is that the Russia-Ukraine conflict has suddenly boosted up the orders from Israel. And the order books of all major companies are full for at least for 5 years and the coming 5 years and more. But in Israel, the supply chains are limited, and there is a need for partners. So somehow, if this can be leveraged, then it would be beneficial for the Indian industry. Now, while that's a generic outline, some areas where we can look for making forays into the Israel defense exports or imports. One is UAVs. Israel is a global leader in the UAV technology. And there are opportunities to develop and manufacture UAVs, sensors, and related technology. We already have a player in Adani, who is manufacturing UAVs for Israel and exporting it to other countries. So this is a model that can be followed by us. They're looking for cybersecurity for defense systems and businesses that can offer cybersecurity services and products tailored for defense sector would be welcome. Drones have become quite widespread, and there is a need for anti-drone technologies, not just from an Israeli standpoint, but there is a huge order to be fulfilled by the Israeli companies towards other nations. So this is again an opportunity updated on geopolitical developments and market trends, as this is crucial for the success in the industry. For example, we have huge orders piled up and Israel needs explosive material. Now I know for a fact that there are a number of Indian companies which are providing explosive material. So something like this, where you have your eye out, ears out, and you are able to grab an opportunity and become part of the supply chain, that is important. I think it has been emphasized enough. We require to be part of Israeli seminars. In this, the formula that I often hear is that there is no market, so why waste money? I would put it the other way around. It is not for showcasing your products, but to seek opportunities. This is a great place to find out what Israel needs, or for that matter, what any other business who are coming here to showcase their products need, and to try and plug into their system. And once you plug into the system, there afterwards it becomes much more smoother sailing. A third way of getting Israeli technology into our system, I would say, is we know the requirements of armed forces, or for that matter, any other sector, agricultural sector or any other sector. Your company is over there, and let's say it's halfway over there and you need a critical. So if you think that Israel has the technology, you can check from your sources and see if you can form a JV. And part of the sources is also the difference out here. You can always check from us to check if Israel has got that kind of technology. And if there is a business opportunity in this, I'm sure that Israelis will jump towards this. Before concluding, I would say that the defense, aerospace and robotics sectors in Israel are highly regulated and often require compliance and export control laws. However, we have the advantage of being a strategic partner, and it is comparatively easy to get the necessary clearances for most items as compared to many other countries. However, businesses interested in entering these markets should be prepared to navigate a complex regulatory environment and in order to establish a strong relationship with the local partners. I am finished, and if there are any other questions, I can take on you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that exhaustive presentation. Now what's important here is to say that no nation is self-sufficient. Therefore, you need to be able to identify what is it that Israel requires in terms of materials, raw materials, critical materials, expertise otherwise. So, we've had a long-standing relations with Israel, which runs into decades. And by and large, I think we have understood each other in terms of, how critical technologies are transferred and what is to be. You made another important point, like the Apple production, Apple 12, 13, 14, 15. If you cannot have the Apple 15, there's continuity to maintain and support the Apple 12s which are there. And if the Apple 12 is meeting a requirement, then you need also an ecosystem that supports the maintenance of Apple 12, which perhaps meets your requirement. It's an important point made. So I'm sure there'll be some more questions from the audience. We'll move on to the last speaker before we take on questions. And then we'll spend some time in trying to understand the local environment there. Thank you. Over to the last person here.
Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead. Your strength 5.
Good afternoon, sir. Honorable Vasu, sir, good to see you. This is Captain Atul Sapaya, Defense Attaché Pretoria, and also looking after Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, and Eswatini, 4 additional countries. And I am happy to be here with the participants from the Indian industry and as well as the fellow defense attachés. I represent Africa, so to say, the South Africa plus 4 additional countries. To start with South Africa. South Africa, as you are aware, that it is the largest defense industry in Africa, and it does supply to many of the African countries and also to Europe and North America as well as South American countries. It has a fairly settled defense ecosystem in terms of acquisition, production, and the supply chain management. So to say, some of the niche technologies where South African defense industries have excelled and they are the top leaders are artillery systems, and they supply including America. tanks, armored fighting vehicles, the anti-material rifles, which they supply worldwide. Then the second niche sector wherein South African companies have excelled is electronics, including guidance systems and fire control systems, including the guns. And the last one is the communications. In regard to secure communications, EW as well as speech secrecy and things like that. So, as of now, South Africa per se, as a market, they really are not looking outwards for the support because of two reasons mainly. One is the financial constraints which the defense sector is facing, and they are not getting enough from the government. And second is initially they were actually quite reliant on European-based equipment. If you see their navy, all the four frigates, they are the German-made frigates. All the three submarines, again, German origin. It is only in the late 90s, in the post-apartheid era, wherein they diversified their production by themselves and started manufacturing ships, started manufacturing aircraft, helicopters, and also now UAVs. And there they stand as of now. So, how it does it work in South Africa is they have something, three-tier approach. One is regarding the policy making, which is held by the Defense Secretariat and the Defense Secretary. The second arm is the Arms Corps, who is actually the headmaster for any acquisition, anything going on in the defense sector, whether imports or exports, and which is Armament Corporation of South Africa, and they literally control each and everything. And the third is the manufacturing wing, which till recently was controlled majorly by FP, has stakes in each land-based systems and this. So this is how it can the local partner. Case in point is recently we have agreed to enter into a joint collaboration with one of the Indian companies called BrahMos Aerospace with Senator Boston. So this is the kind of collaborative efforts and ventures we need from the Indian companies. In South African market, there is no way ahead beyond entering into a joint collaborative system like this. What is this in terms of surveillance systems of email and just terms of cyber security that we have hope to collaborate with the partners. Again, opportunities come in the form of the Defense Expos, and the largest one in the region is the AAD Defense Expo, which is a biennial affair, and next one is due in September 2024, 18 to 22 September 24. So, like last time also we had a sizable presence of Indian companies. We can expect to participate and showcase our niche technology and equipment here, so that it not only opens up and market in South Africa, but also and that purpose. That is as regards to South Africa, I have covered in brief. Slightly different tax is for other countries like Mozambique, currently where I am sitting for some meeting. In Mozambique, though it has got a lot of initial lack of focus whether regard to the maritime security or to develop its own air wing or a maritime surveillance wing. So here are the opportunities in that sector, maybe for HAL or as well as for the shipyard we supply, and we have already signed but we can look at the defense line of credit as well to get into the market, and maybe other African countries after seeing that equipment being deployed here opens up avenues for us. There are opportunities in Mozambique as regards to support equipment because as you know the northern province of Mozambique, the Cabo Delgado province is fighting insurgency, and there is I would say it could be equipment or to come in. A lot of simulators, small arms simulators to come in and protective armor to come in, wherein we can explore such opportunities. Similarly to Zimbabwe, Zimbabwe, as you know, it is under West sanctions and it has been relying mainly on the Russian equipment. Slowly, China is also getting a big way into the Zimbabwean market. And currently, also only Mahindra has been able to make some inroads into Zimbabwe. For us, the Zimbabwean defense has approached us, friendly solutions, simulators, the existing equipment which they acquired here in the equipment which has commonality with the one which is there in our military, in Air Force as well as in Navy. And there are two additional smaller countries, Lesotho and Eswatini. I would say probably outright purchase is not an option for those countries because they don't have sizable defense budget, but definitely as part of the grants or line of credit, some of the Indian defense companies have attempted through the DDP channel, and we can focus mainly on the internal security equipment, riot control equipment and things like that in both these countries to make inroads. Opportunities also exist in Africa for support of the UN peacekeeping missions to arm the peacekeepers. So there's a huge market here, and Indian companies actually can, and especially so MSMEs can contribute a lot on that front. Also the SADC mission, which is there in Mozambique to fight the insurgency, we can probably support that mission also through various anti-insurgency equipment, PPs, etc. So that is what I had to cover, and if there are any questions, I will be glad to take on. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Atul. First of all, nice to reconnect with you after a long gap, and good to know that you are carrying the flag there. The inputs that have been given, particularly on South Africa, Mozambique, and other African countries, are of great importance to the industry here. South Africa may be self-sufficient, and they have also been exporting, but I think there are always opportunities, like Captain Atul brought out, particularly on internal security, on UN peacekeeping in Congo or other places, or the local issues which require certain amount of elevated interaction from our industry. So the floor is now open for you to pose questions. Please use a mic so that the DAs can hear you. Number one, identify who you are and also say which industry you represent, because these are important for them to be able to put things together and respond to you. So you can also say which DA it's addressed to, so it makes it easier for them to come online and respond to your queries.
Hello. Yeah, good afternoon. I am Wing Commander Dheeraj. I am right now employed with Renewable Energy Systems, which manufactures thermal batteries. These thermal batteries are peculiar and they are used right now in missile systems, torpedoes and all these things. My question is to DA US as well as Israel, both together, if they can answer this, whether I can export to Ukraine and Russia. I don't know whether
DA, USA and Israel, if you may kindly respond to this question on, that he has a capacity to make thermal batteries, can they be exported to Ukraine or Russia?
This is DA USA here. Now, these are Ukraine and Russia, you see, is a conflict zone. So it is a kind of a touchy area to get into, frankly speaking. I don't know what our government policy, it will all depend on our government. Like I had covered during my talk, looking at because of the prolonged war, which was not expected to go on as long as that. So, of course, there is a huge requirement and a huge demand because the manufacturing industry the world over is there huge requirement. If Indian industries can source those aspects, you're particularly asking about thermal batteries, yes. But again, it will depend on our government policies, whether how it stands in the geopolitical scenario. So, leave it at I think the answers would lie within India rather than outside.
Thank you. Would DA Israel like to compliment? 1 second. May I request DA Israel also to kindly add on if there is anything?
I would agree wholly with what DA USA has said. However, there are two additional aspects that I would like to bring out. First is that from Israel's point of view, the facts are not required just for Russia, Ukraine. Now you have to see it as a whole ecosystem. So while those batteries which you give them may not necessarily go to Russia, Ukraine, they could go to some other place also. I think Israel's order books at least for that are full, and it is a possibility. But the second point, which I would like to also make, is that having seen the industry a little bit close and having known a bit of about the project, I know that Israel has not really gone for the thermal batteries which are being made from India, and this is because of quality issues. So maybe this is something that you will have to look into before making an effort to try and do this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, hi, I'm Ravin Vyas from Alpha Shot Technologies. We are into remote control weapon systems. My question is to DA Saudi. He mentioned about Expo in February, next February 24. Two questions. One is, what are the dates and how do we participate in that?
DA Saudi Arabia?
Yes, sir. So the dates are 4th to 6th of February 2024. This is the second edition of the World Defense Show. We have already sent out an invite letter to about 50 companies. Now, we can send it out. I mean, there is no, this thing, the website is there, the World Defense Show, but we are facilitating all those companies that were there in our database and those who have been historically, we are carrying out engagements in the Saudi side. So we have sent out a link to those.
How do we get into?
You can send a mail to us on our website.
I need your mail ID.
We will give you all the details.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
Participate in the event.
Thank you.
Yeah, please pass the mic to the person behind you.
This is Gopal from Anna University, Chennai. Question to the Defense Attaché of Israel. Is there any work going on the biology-related weapon systems in Israel?
That is to DA Israel. He wants to know if there is any bio-weapon aspects. I don't think it will be.
Nothing that I am aware of, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
There is nothing that I am aware of in this area, and I don't think that even if they're doing it, this aspect would be publicized.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's very obvious that no country will say that they are indulging in bio-weapon programs. So, yeah. You wanted to say something, Ram?
Thank you, defense attaches from various countries. This is Ram. I have communicated you through email. Sir, one suggestion, and I would like to know the possibility of that. The country is driving for more indigenization, right? So when some MSMEs or someone is indigenizing an item here in India that we are importing now, is there a possibility of connecting that MSMEs or whoever is doing the indigenization with that original company so they can also supply to Indian companies as well as export so that they can get more quantities?
Who is this for? This question?
So generally, it's general. Particularly developed countries from where we are importing right now, which if we do indigenization, in addition to supplying to our armed forces, they can also supply to the foreign countries from where we are right now importing. That will be an additional quantity, because I am very sure they might be looking for cost-effective items. If we can do that, it will be an addition to our MSME. Is it possible?
I'm here from USA. This is an opportunity definitely, which is be obvious, because from developed countries, whatever we imported, our companies can do import substitution, manufacture that. Obviously, we have to check that we were environmental with those companies. Manufacture that, serve our the requirement of our armed forces, and then we get into the gold market, which I also mentioned when I gave my talk. So this, Mr. Ram is definitely an opportunity. I think that exists. And any assistance which is required from that angle, obviously, we can be approached, and we can assist, in these areas. Yes, sir.
If this is to be implemented, maybe in some cases, the specifications might change, or the standards might change between the Indian buyer and the foreign buyers. So at the time of development itself, we can coordinate with the developer in India. It will be more useful. So how can we do about it? Can we write to our DDG exports in MOD and form a cell or some facilitation kind of thing, so that MSMEs can be benefited?
DI USA, is he online?
Anyhow, we will write to our Department of Defense Production about this, and probably we can form kind of a facilitation thing to help the MSMEs. Thank you.
Are there any more questions? I'd just like to respond to what Mr. Ram has brought out. I think the answer was also in the presentation made by Mr. Bob this morning, where he said, to produce anything in America is very expensive. And therefore, they would definitely look at alternate avenues of supply chain. And which is where we need to identify which are the areas in which your MSMEs can participate. And, offer these to these companies who would like to cut down on cost, because otherwise they're not going to be competitive. Well, technologically, they may be way ahead of others. In terms of production cost, delivery cost, etc., they will perhaps need to engage with India and other developing countries. So that's one option which is available. I'm sure the interaction is not complete. I would like to say that, that whatever queries you have and people who would like any follow-up responses from the DAs, we will be too happy to facilitate the process by engaging with. So you can send your emails, you can send your queries, we can put you in touch with the companies who are there, with the good officers of the DAs who are there. So this will be an ongoing process. It's just the beginning that we are trying to make, and so therefore, on behalf of the Swatantra Foundation and the organizers of Defense Expo, all that remains for me is to thank all the DAs. I don't know what the time zones are and what times there are in, but thanks so much for coming here and patiently answering all the questions and making these wonderful presentations that will be of great value to all of us. Please join me in giving them a big round of applause. Thank you.
There was a great effort from Swatantra Foundation to bring you all the attaches here and could directly speak with them and get to know their requirements and how to go about your having a thing with them, in connection with them.
How many of you find this session useful? Oh, that's really good, and we should be thankful to the Ministry of Defense. And it's a unique thing, it's bringing the defense attaches is a very difficult task. And when we requested our Department of Defense Production, particularly the Joint Secretary, is not here today because of his pre-engagements, he readily agreed. He said, in fact, we requested physical presence, but that is not possible because they are all pre-engaged in such a short notice. He suggested that we can bring them through online, and he made it. And thanks to him, we will write to them. Thank you.